Tie that knot. I'm gonna pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand, because he helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yes.
It's the old
He helped Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped Jericho. Get off the island.
Let me get straight to the business. Yeah. Got them lions in the building. Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I've been the best. Man, they know they no contest. Yahoo, he do the best. We will not see you tomorrow. Cause you cannot go to daughter. All the sons and all the daughters. Standing hard with big manotas. But my son, he made me Taurus. On that line, I'm still a Taurus. Karate kicking Chuck Norris, 4-5 on my waist. If he started, will not hesitate to get retarded. Oh Lord, he ain't got a PowerPoint, he farted. He's running to the hills like a Philistine. T-Hawk hitting hamites with the guillotine. Situation turned up with the ratchet team. JJ 7000 to the bait lead. Yeah, I know them haters gon' hate me, but he won't debate me. Pistol off safety. He respond, come wait me. If I don't get up, nigga shake me. If he don't show up, then he fake G. I touch down and make these nigga nuts hate me. Dear brother. Balling and crawling all the way from H-time. Let me get straight to the business. Man, them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Why you lying to them children? You gon' cry, you gon' get it. Me, I'm like a frog, nigga, ribbit. Of course, it's in the spirit. I just got the Porsche, she can steer it. Michael got the raw, Shaq and Willie. Lamborghini doors, you better not spill it. Mama's high, say I'm more than just a villain. Mama's cry, arms open wide for her children. Suicide, immortalized as the realest, yeah. Death by gun, black suicide. Let me get straight to the business. Got them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I be there. Man, they know they no contest. Yahoo, he do the best. Wow, what's that? Why didn't take it over? Number one debate league, you heard me? When it's up, it's stuck. Selling on everything, nigga. Metaphorically, of course.
Peace, peace, peace. Welcome to the Lions Den. This is the Eric the Mad Scientist, True Knowledge. Peace to Neo for making that song for the Lions Den. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate that. And we're gonna go to the panel. Let them explain to yourself. First, we will go to what I call the backbone of the Lions Den. Let's go to Karima. Introduce yourself.
Shalom to everybody in the chat. Shalom to everybody on the panel. And shalom to those that's watching on those listening to this episode of the Lions Den presentation with Eric, Mad Scientist.
Okay, we're gonna go to the second person, Zion Warren, the Swishinator. The Swishinator, he been, doing his debates. He's looking for more debates, and we got some more special debates coming on the line. Then, you know what I'm saying? This the family right here. Let them know where they can find you at on the social media.
Con. Y'all can find me on the Lions Den. You know who it is. The most underrated, the most underdebated, the most underestimated. Yo, Smusher, man, baby. The Smushinator. Yeah, I'm just, you know what I'm saying? We right here, you know what I mean? Find me on the Den on any given Sunday. You know what I mean? Much love to everybody on the panel.
Okay, next up we got JJ, the people's champ. You know what I'm saying? We've been watching him for years, man. You know, he's a legend right now. He's a legend for creating this Lions Den and making this shit as big as it is. Show the people, tell the people who you are, where they can find you.
Hey, shalom, peace and blessings. Y'all know where to find me right here on the Lions Den, on Facebook. Doing my thing. I'm just kind of falling back a little bit and letting everybody else, you know, take the wheel, man, because I'm getting burnt out. I ain't gonna lie, man. Debating back to back to back debates sometimes, man. Over the years, man, it's taking a toll on you, man. So I built this Lions Den for us, not just for me, for everybody else to be able to come over here and have a fair shake when they bringing out the information and not all this sided biasness. So with that being said, I'm just gonna sit back and listen. Shalom.
And that's respectful, you know what I mean? Because sometimes the general got to sit back and let the warriors go at it, you know what I mean? And show the people that you had to get your back. So we gonna go to these videos. Um, I don't know which one we go play first, but I'll see which one she go play first.
What's the topic, brother?
This the topics is well, I'm gonna read it. It's the influence of the Africans' influence on the slave trade. This part I'm gonna be showing how someone were here before the Columbus and they were trading with the natives, how actually some came and helped take over territories here with the European. How actually they sold each other or sold other tribes where actually matched with a lot where Israelites said that they were selling different tribes and going to war with each other and selling to the European. And they had treaties. It wasn't just no Europeans coming to no big Africa and just stealing people. And I'm gonna get people to understand what kidnapping meant at the time. Kidnapping was just not the beginning of when they started. It was actually a certain point where it was called kidnapping. I'm gonna show the fugitive slave trade, and then I got one more video where I'm gonna show. It's called the European disease. And
Send it to the other account.
huh?
Send it to the other account.
Okay. And the other one is the European disease and how they was trading off humans, animals, food to different places from Europe to Africa to Africa to America to America to like the pig actually comes from Africa. And when they do that, how it affected us because certain places where you at, we didn't supposed to eat certain animals and certain things. So, that's what it's gonna be about. Kind of like, I like, me, I like teaching how they teach a history because I believe the modern history is way more important. I ain't gonna say it's the only important thing, but it's to me, it's more important to how we figure out what happened to us here.
Right.
But I'm gonna send the first one I want you to show them. See.
You got to put up the excuse me, the Fair Use Act.
Well, these are
That's
his
his
Facebook.
video. Yeah, they're Facebook and not his.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I always show my Facebook live stuff, so because I know they, how they got the copyright and all that stuff. So I always use stuff. I only got one thing from YouTube, but it's my video. It ain't nobody else, John. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Yeah.
All right.
But I sent the first one I want to show. I showed Kareem. Shalom, Mario, Yashia, forever. Peace up.
Yeah, Khan Shalom
You,
family.
you can start this at 1:30 because I kind of on my lab I have intro songs too, so you can start at like 1:30 if you want to. So you want to play the song. Who sailed into the all right. There you go. C. Stewart. Now this is some of his, achievements and stuff that he did, so you can understand your real story. American professor of Black Studies at the University of California
and Santa Barbara and Yale. He won National Book Award for Nonfiction in 2019 Pulitzer Prize. And he's mostly known for historian of the Harlem Renaissance. Now let's go to my first one. Let's go to the first one. All right. Africans discovered America. Strong evidence suggests that Africans discovered America before Columbus. When the Spanish explorer Vasco landed in South America in 1513, he founded a community of black people already living there. Later, archaeologists' excavations uncovered pre-Columbian pottery that bore faces with the distinctly African features, most likely West African, who sailed into the Atlantic during the 15th century were carried South America by the powerful ocean currents. So this right here is showing you that black people was in America before Columbus, because I keep telling you these people was not navigators. When they came to America, they didn't even know how to build. They didn't know how to fish. They didn't even know how to hunt. Okay, when they came over here with black navigators. I'm gonna show you that too. But so this right here shows you that we were here, and Africans and black people were already here before Columbus. Now, this, you don't want to believe it? Let's check this one out. This is Columbus in the wake of Africans. Chris Columbus stopped in the Cape Verde Islands off the coast of Africa on his way west to find a shorter route to the Indies. He was embodied in his daring journey by news from the islands that Africans had been known to set off into the ocean going west in the canoes from the coast of West Africa. When Columbus arrived in the Caribbean islands, he found dark-skinned people who traded with the Indians, and also found Native Americans who told him that they had traded gold with the black men who came across the ocean from the southeast. In his diaries, Columbus suggested that dark-skinned people hail from the coast of Ghana and what is now West Africa. Now, I don't really believe all that, and let me tell you why. Because they don't want you to believe that you was indigenous people here. They want everybody to believe they came from somewhere else. And see what I'm saying? We have a right to say we natives. They're not saying we natives, but they're just saying we was here before them, but we came from somewhere else. They don't know where we came from. So we can't listen to that part. All right. Now this part right here I'm about to go to. This are African explorers that explored with the Spanish people. Because I'm trying to tell you and try to show you that all Africans that came on the boat was not slaves. Some of them were the navigators. Some of them worked with them, and some of them were servants. Servants that first came on here before it became slavery. Okay, so let's go to this. African companions of South explorers. Africans were important members of each of the Spanish expeditions that came to the Western Hemisphere following Columbus in 1513. Balboa brought him with 30 Africans who helped him cut the first path through the Panama to the Pacific Ocean. These Africans also built the first ship ever constructed on the Pacific coast of foreigners. In 1519, Hernando Cortez relied on 300 Africans to help him defeat the Aztecs. Africans also helped Juan of Florida. They also filled the army that enabled Francisco to conquer Peru. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. They also used them as warriors and used them to take over land that was over here in the Americas. You see what I'm saying? Because history is deeper than they trying to
Put it on
show
pause
you.
for a second.
You know what I'm saying? Because people always say, I don't want to just always see if it's a slave. Everybody wasn't a slave, and that's the.
Now, I just wanted to say now, why don't they teach people that? Why they don't teach people when I first read the book of Hernan Cortez, they only told you that this man went and brought more Europeans over to attack, and then got the Native Americans that was in Mexico, the tribes that didn't like the Aztecs, to take over them. They never told you about how they had 300 Africans to come help you, to come help him do this. And this is what I'm trying to talk about because I'm trying to get the myth of that Africa was just this great country that did not have nothing to do with the invasion of the Native American and has nothing to do with the slave trade. What actually they did, and they had a big thing to do with it, and they actually benefited many off it. Okay, you can go.
Point I'm trying to
Right.
make it is history. Everybody
I
was
want to
not a
point out this
slave.
too is
So that slavery that we
The
are
Garifuna
always
tribes.
talking about didn't come into the
Yeah.
late 1700s, early 1800s. So that 1619 of bringing 12 men, all that stuff is exaggerated and is a lie because they want you to believe that every black person comes from one place. When you go to Africa, everybody is not the same nation wise, even features wise. When you go to Europe, when you go anywhere, it's always different type of people. Okay, and check this out. This is something a lot of people don't know. First settlers of Jamestown. Who was the first settler of Jamestown? They'll tell you it was the European. They'll show you that it ain't. All right. Africans, along with the Spaniard Vasquez, were the first to settle what is today Jamestown, Virginia. Explored the east coast of Virginia in the early 1500s and was the first to bring Africans into what is the United States. Along found South Miguel, a colony that flourished until 1527. When Alon died, he was replaced by a more receptive ruler. Eventually, Africans rebelled, burning the settlement and forcing the Spanish to retreat to Haiti. Many of the Africans who fled the Spanish settlement established their own colony in the area. One could say that then that the community of Africans was, after those of Native Americans, the first permanent colony in Virginia. So do not let them tell you that they was the first established colony that came was actually the African. Okay? Alright. What else I'm gonna get to? I wonder alright, let me go to
You can pause
this.
real quick.
Let's
Anybody
go
want
on.
to
This is
speak
what a
on
lot
that
of
stuff?
people
Anybody want to speak
don't
on
like
it?
to talk about. Alright.
You want to speak on it, Zion or Jeremiah?
I just wanted to point out that that you can go back to also the Garifuna. There's a tribe of people called the Garifuna, and I believe that's in Guyana, South America. And the Garifuna's history has gone back way further than the European conquest. So that's historically proven. So that supports what you're saying. Also, the Pacific Islands, where you have the Samoans, you know what I'm saying, Hawaii, you know what I'm saying, and the islands of the Hawaiian Islands, they had traditions that go all the way back to Nigeria. Their drumming, the hula dancing, and all of their traditions actually predated the European conquest and even the African slave trade. So, and if anything, y'all used to watch wrestling back in the day. You see the Samoans that were there, like you know what I'm saying, Jimmy Superfly Snooker. They had afros, they had flat noses, they were big, you know what I'm saying, broad, you know what I'm saying, broad brothers, you know what I'm saying, and the women as well. They were a warrior class nation that somehow ended up all the way in the Pacific Islands and kept African traditions that go back, African drums and traditions that go back to Nigeria. So, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of supporting evidence behind this.
You got anything to say, JJ? Well, yeah. Before we go back, I just wanted to say that's why I tried to say because we got to stop believing everything they tell us because these people will try to tell you that these Europeans was the first to make boats and bring like come over here, but you talking about the same European that came to America 100 deep and only 30 survived because they didn't know how to hunt. They didn't know how to fish. They didn't know how to do anything. But you telling me they making boats and just going everywhere, just taking over stuff? That's not how that happened. They invaded. They went to places. They friended you. They seen what the nation you had that was great, and they seen that a lot of them great nations was doing the smaller nations wrong, and they used the smaller nations to attack the big nation, which the smaller nations didn't know that was their protection. So once they got rid of them, that's why they took over. It was many different tribes in Mexico. It wasn't just the Aztecs and Mayans, and they were sacrificing them. And the European knew this, and that's why they went to the smaller tribes and destroyed them. And then once they destroyed them, they couldn't defeat them no more. So then they ambushed them. It's just that simple. You had to really, really, really go into history and understand what's really going on. I'm
Huh.
a,
Go ahead, brother.
yeah, you can play the video, Uncle.
Go. African selling African. It is a myth that most Africans who became slaves in America were captured by Europeans in the slave raids. Most of the Africans who became slaves were sold into slavery by other Africans. The Portuguese did raid on West African fishermen and and their villages in the 15th century, but African leaders had organized as sophisticated military defenses and delivered costly bloody defeats in Portuguese. The Portuguese realized that then the only way to ensure a steady, predictable supply of slaves was to build extensive politic connections with the African leaders and make the trade work in their interests. By the end of the 16th century, this had been accomplished. A lucrative trade for European goods, especially weapons, the selling of slaves to the Europeans. Afterward, most Africans crossing the Atlantic had been captured and traded by other Africans into the hands of Europeans. Most of the captured Africans had become captives of a result of war between rival ethnic groups. And see, this is what I'm talking about we were saying that they was prisoners of war. And this is why I say when people say Africans, is no such thing as an African. These are tribes. These are different nations who all did not get along and who all were not the same. And when they went to war, they took the prisoners and they sold a lot of them to the European. Now, people have debated, did they know what the European was doing or did they not? But I'm just showing the history of that Europeans did not just come into Africa and just kidnap slaves and bring them to America. The kidnapping comes from when Europe legalized it in the 18 illegal or made it illegal in the 1800s, and America kept doing it. That's where the kidnapping part comes from. But it wasn't kidnapping in the beginning. It was African tribes versus African tribes taking prisoners of war and selling them to the European. All right, let's go to this. Hold on, my bad. Captain's view of slaves. Those sold by blacks are the most part prisoners of war. Others stolen away by their own countrymen. There was some there who will sell their own children, kindred and neighbors. I was told of one who designed to sell his own son after that manner, but the understanding French dissembled for a while, and then contrived and cunningly as a persuade the French that the old man was a slave and not his father, which means he delivered him up to captivity. However, it happened that the fellow was met by some of the principal blacks of the country as he was returning home from the factory with the goods he had received from the sale of his father. Now, this is what I'm talking about. See, this is history we ain't talking about. We need to get to the real history of what really happened. Why do you think they are African slaves? African kingdoms that's apologizing for it. And yes, I'm an Aboriginal. But I also believe that they did come off, people did come off the boat, but it was exaggerated so much that they want us to believe that every single Negro that's in America is a West African, even though some did come from Angola too, the North Carolinas. All right.
Pause it. You can pause the video because I got a comment on here, and this is what I hate. See, These African lovers, the Pan Africans, all these people, man. When I start talking about Africa, now it's old news, man. Ain't no old news. We talk about all type of old stuff all day. All I see is videos about old, new, flat Earth to Jesus we always talk about old stuff. So what are you talking about? Old
Right.
news. You see what I'm saying? It's just y'all hate when
Yeah.
y'all hate when I put the mirror in y'all face.
Right. 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 That's that cognitive dissonance. People want to be stuck in their own, thoughts instead of exploring, other, other information.
Yeah.
Old news is still new news. That's why it's called news.
Yeah, and it's not old news because I still hear y'all Pan African and Kemetic. I still try to hear y'all justify why y'all sold slaves to Europeans. Y'all try to make it seem like y'all was so scared. Oh, that's why we sold it. They were scared and they was under the pressure. No, they won't. They
No,
benefited
he
off
wasn't.
and they went to war with each other and benefited off it. It's that simple. And they actually sold their own. They ain't just
Right.
sell other tribes. They sold people in amongst their tribes.
Right, right, and that's the interesting thing is I think people want to keep this, this romanticized idea of what Africa was like, but even if we look at the history of Shaka Zulu, that there was warring factions between different tribes at all times, and then when the European came in with certain weapons and they came in with certain tapestries and things like that, they traded people as for for they did that, but my question is whether my issue is whether they understood the difference between the form of slavery and servitude that they had exacted amongst other African tribes, as opposed to what would have inevitably happened during the transatlantic slave trade and chattel slavery. I don't think that they were thinking that situation would have been, as atrocious as it was. And so they will just, it wasn't unheard of for people to have servants. A lot of times in African countries and Eastern cultures, slaves or servants were able at a certain time to even marry into the family, right? So they weren't treated as less than a human being, but because there might have been debts or something, or or what have you, there might have been some royal, royal dignitaries who had other ones who were underneath them as servants, etc., etc. The presumption was that they could trade their servants for weapons such as gunpowder, all kinds of things, alcohol, all kinds of things. The Europeans did that in Japan. If y'all watch, I forget what it's called. It's called The Race. There's a movie called The Race, and it was about how the Europeans went over to feudal Japan and began to trade with the Japanese, the samurais and the shoguns, in order to stick their foot in Japan. You know what I'm saying? However, a lot of the Japanese royalty did not want to trade with the Europeans, and these were American Europeans that were coming over there, giving him bottles of wine and guns, first pistols that they gave to them, and the whole nine. So they were trading, and then they were giving, people and servants and the whole nine in exchange for the products that the Europeans were given.
Yeah,
That's it.
and I look at, and I agree with everything Zion was saying because maybe they didn't know, you know what I mean. But I'm just a historian, so I get tired of the people trying to watered down of how Africans got over here. You know what I mean? So it's but being when you talk about Farrakhan, you gotta watch who you listening to, dude, because I'm sorry to say these are the same people that said the white man is the devil. They turn around and say the white man Farah is God. So I mean, I ain't gonna get into that, but you just better watch out who you really always listening to. You know what I'm saying? I like Farrakhan as a preacher, but I don't look at that man as no historian because he got people that's research for him. You know what I mean? But I do my own research, but yeah, we can go ahead and go to the video.
Slaves were taken from all classes of African society. Many nobles became slaves as a result of loss of capture and inter-tribal wars. My father was a king and treacherous, murdered by his sons of neighboring prince. To revenge his death, I daily went hunting with some men in hopes of retaliating upon the assassinations, but I had to misfortune to be surprised, taken by bam. Hence these ignoble scars around the wrists and ankles. I was afterwards sold to your European countrymen on the coast of Guyana, and a punishment which was deemed greater than instant death.
And you heard that? And you heard that? Now,
So stop
now,
letting these Pan Africans.
this is the thing I'm trying to say. Well, maybe they did know Zion because he's saying is this was a punishment that a lot of them got, and it was worse than death. So if he's saying that to me, it's kind of saying that maybe a lot of them did know, or maybe they didn't know at first, and then they found out, and then it became like a torturous. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the part where I wanted to talk about that because you know what I mean they you never know that the excuses that they really make. Now I believe that maybe when it first happened,
True.
maybe they didn't, but I believe that
Yeah.
it could have been used as a
Right.
punishment.
Right. It could have been. Yeah. It could have been definitely been used as a punishment as well. I won't take that away. Um. I just I think that after like what how many years were they doing this? Over 200 years from like the 14th century over to the 16th. At some point, they had to realize that you know that folks weren't going to be being treated very very kindly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and reason I'm showing this so people are why you showing it because our generations, man, our youth under us are not learning this. Where I'm from, Virginia, they have took CTR out. They are taking Black history out. They're trying to take the Civil Rights Movement out. They're trying to take the Native American history out. They're trying to erase non-Black people. They are teaching you monkeys and gorillas and apes, and then they're taking your history away from you again. So our people are going backwards and not forward because we are starting to believe everything these people tell us. They're telling us all this stuff, and we're
Right.
starting to believe it. It got to a point. Remember, it was a point. Remember, it was a point Zion, in the '90s, and we started questioning everything these people were saying, and we said, and our saying was erase everything they taught us and start learning yourself. It's not doing that anymore. It's getting to a point where we believe in everything they tell
Right.
us again.
Right. Well, as I always say, and this is what what many European institutions had always they stated, what I'm saying, is that the history is written by the hand of the victors, and so we have to be careful about how they write or rewrite our history. One of the main things about European royalty and their hierarchical, what I'm saying, bloodlines and stuff, is that they have tried to preserve their history going back into antiquity. Most of us think that, oh, we don't have to focus on the past, but what that does is that leaves us without an identity. Even Marcus Garvey said that a tree without roots, right? It can't stand. Right. And so this is why they treated us as three-fifths of a human being, because when they erased our history, when they erased our dialects, our cultures, our nationalities, what I'm saying, without those things, you are starting off from scratch. You might as well be an ape. You might as well be a primate. You might as well be a monkey, right?
Dang.
Because you're not establishing, what I'm saying, the historical, the pedigree. That's a word that most of us have not been taught. Why do you think that there are so many families? Look at Donald Trump. I know a lot of people like Donald Trump. I'm not particular about him. I'm not particular about any one side of, what I'm saying, either wing of the bird. However, you have people who are in positions of power and authority, not solely because they went to college and they had, what I'm saying, argued and got high in political places, what I'm saying? But because they had a pedigree that went further back than themselves, they had a history, they had a nationality that people could stand behind. Okay, they had roots. And
Yeah,
without roots, you have no royal dignity.
exactly.
Anybody want to start off from scratch? Well, you're a tree. You're then you're a seedling with no roots.
Yep.
You have not rooted yourself in anything. And this is why it's so important for them to take our history and our true history away from us. It's chopping the tree down at the base.
Deep, boy. That's deep right there. And Mario, Yasha. I'm from Virginia too. I'm from Henrico. You know, right beside Richmond, man. We can build. You know, I got a couple of places I'm trying to go. I'm gonna do a documentary on Virginia. You know, slave history, and I already been to Jamestown, all that, but I'm gonna redo it because they kept taking my think it was taking me down when I was going live and going to the slave trade. You know, they don't want us to learn this, man. They want us to stay in, you know, like I said, religion is cool. Religion is good to learn because it keeps you moral. All we need all the we need spiritual, physical, and mental. We need all these things together. So we need history, religion, and science. We real science. You know what I mean? We need all this stuff together and start teaching our people this stuff, man, because people is lost because they're mentally, spiritually, and physically lost. You know what I'm saying? So we can go to the next one. I mean, we can play the video.
Letting these two black, we two African fantasizing people tell you that it was a different way that Africans, oh, they didn't know what they was doing. They was no, okay. This was all about money. This was all about taking defeating the tribes and doing whatever and dealing with other people. The same thing Haselassie and them did when they dealt with Italy to fight or was it the Trends to get got with Italy. One of them got with Italy to fight
Right,
the
with
other.
Italy,
You
yep,
see what
Haile
I'm saying? And
Selassie,
this
and
is how
even
they
prior, yep.
always came in, and this is how they took over a lot because we were not together and we were never together. All right, what else we can go to? 24, 25. What did that? 50, all right, 56. Now, this is what I'm trying to say that the slave trade was not as early when it comes to them bringing many over. It was not as early as people are saying it was, especially in the North America. Slave trade latecomers. North America were relative latecomers to the slave trade, which had been underway for 200 years before it became a factor in the development of North America. For the most part, Americans were not involved in the slave trade until the middle of the 18th century. This was largely because of the relatively late development of a plantation agricultural system of North America. Okay, because when I went to Jamestown, I'm trying to get y'all to understand. In the 1700s, it classified and says in the Jamestown historical site I went to that in 1700s it was only 5,000 African slaves. Okay, 5,000 African slaves, and let's see what happened when the first slaves got here. All right, what was it? 54. All right. The first 20 African as indentured servants. In 1619, a year before the landing of the Mayflower, the first Africans arrived in British North America aboard a Dutch ship that landed at Jamestown, Virginia. The 20 niggers, as were called by the Dutch, were sold not as slaves but as indentured servants who worked from a term of a service, usually 7 years. By 1651, several of these original 20 Africans had completed their term of service and received land or part of usual freedom duties that masters gave free servants, white or black. One of these 20, Mr. Johnson, rose to become a prosperous farmer and master of several white indentured servants. But by the end of the 17th century, all Africans born in Virginia were declared slaves, and any upward mobility Johnson enjoyed became a near impossible in a span of 80 years. Virginia society had evolved into one of the harshest and most severe legal system of slavery in America. See, so when you keep going and going to run that 1700 early 1800 time is when they really started doing it. And like I said, the reason they called it kidnapping because the Europeans had already made slavery illegal in the 1800s. So by the 1840s 50s, it was called kidnapping because it was illegal in everywhere else but the South of America. Okay, let me see. I got one more for you.
I'll have you dropping bombs on their ass, boy.
The Royal African Company. The formation of the Royal African Company dramatically altered the slave trade to North Africa before the incorporation of British North. Americans had to get their slaves from other carriers, Portuguese, Dutch, or the French. All right, that really won't. But that's just the company when they how they got it to work better and they got together because this is what I'm trying to tell people too. All Europeans were not together when it came to the slave trade. They were not together when it came to evading. That's why you had the British this. That's why you had the Spanish this. That's why you had this, the French this. All these people were fighting each other at first. That's why it's called a united because they try to unite everybody that was on this land and say the places that you came from is your secondary now. That's just what they basically tried to do. All right. So, please go back and watch this video. It's showing all the stuff, the history that people are scared to talk about now and want to talk about because people want to be too black, people want to be too white. Listen, if you want to know real history, you have to know real history. We can't be fake funking. We can't be lying. We can't be just to get more likes. We can't be doing none of this stuff, man. Okay? And that's the last person I want you to show this. This is the word of the day to me. Okay? This is a man. Check this man out right here. James Beckworth. Born in Slave, Virginia, James Beckworth ran away from his master in St. Louis, headed west where he worked several years from the Mountain Fur Company and learned the ways of the fur trapper. Always aggressive, resourceful individual, Beckworth had his first big break when he stumbled into a Crow village and was claimed by one of the women as her son, quickly accepting the Crow identity. He also accepted a Crow wife and therefore led the Crows in numerous wars against the Blackfeet Indians. Slated to succeed the chief upon his death, Buckworth bolted to fight in the Seminole Wars in Florida, but his greatest contribution came in 1850 when he was located, passed through the Sierra Nevada, and led the first wagon train through it. Located north of Reno, Nevada, Beckworth Pass still exists as an example of the resourceful of this African American warrior explorer. So check him out. So I just proved. Oh, one more thing. Slave trade numbers debate. Controversy over the total number of Africans transported by the Atlantic slave trade has raised since Philip Curtin's The Atlantic Slave Trade, a census, the first modern quantitative the study of slave trade, was published in 1569. Some felt Curtin's estimate of 9.8 to 10 million Africans arriving in the New World was too low, but recent revisions tend to upon Curtin's overall figure. Though his numbers for individual nations and destinations are still disputed, some of the controversy comes from those who feel that calculating the number of Africans were brought to the New World at only 10 million devalues the scope of horror of the slave trade. Some historians have suggested as many as 100 million men and women were removed from Africa. But such numbers are grossly exaggerated. Nevertheless, whether it was 10 or 100 million, the slave trade was still one of the most devastating events of the world history, such as massive population transfer, profoundly influenced development of American cultures we know today. Is the Americas, the South, and Mexico. Okay, like I said before, when you're talking about the slave trade, you're going to notice that it didn't really get massive until the late 1700s, early 1800s. And then we need to understand that the European did not come into South Africa and kidnap Africans. Africans went to war, tribes went to war with each other and sold prisoners to the European. And so we got to stop. And the kidnapping comes from when Europe made it illegal, and the South America kept doing it. That is what the kidnapping comes from. It's not kidnapped because of Europe came to Africa. If you say how small Europe is, if you say how big Africa is, ain't no way the Europeans just came up in there and just started taking people and taking nobles and taking kings and princesses. We got to be more smarter than that. And then they took Africans and got them to help them take over land and make paths and defeat tribes. And then Africans mixed in with the natives too and the indigenous people too. And therefore their blood is just as important as anybody else's blood among them. All right, so peace out. I hope you learned something today.
I sent
That was a
that's the
good
first
video, brother.
video I sent. At first, so that's the first. I got three of them. They ain't really that long. That's why I wanted to talk between them two, so we could talk. But
Okay.
yeah, that's why I said I wanted to show the thing, man, because it's getting to a point where we just not understanding. Like we cutting off a lot of what happened, and we watering it down to. Because when I was growing up,
Right.
see, I grew up in a place where they really taught you, and they still teach that to this day. I spoke to a substitute teacher. They still teaching you that Chris Columbus came to North America. You see what I'm saying? They still teach you. I had to argue with a dude in college, and he
He
swore up and
never,
down. His
yeah, I don't
professor
think he
told
ever
him.
made it to North America. He made it to the Caribbean islands, but
Yeah, he
no,
went.
they
He made it to
they confusing the pilgrims that landed on
yeah,
Plymouth Rock with Christopher Columbus.
yeah, and this is what I'm trying to tell people because, hold on, why people believe they're free of slavery? No, nobody believes we're free of slavery. Nobody said that, so I don't even know why you said that. But people believe that because they switched slavery from a physical form to a mental and spiritual form, and then the physical
Right.
form they made into a thing they call prison. But with
Shalom,
the
Maki,
Christopher Columbus,
the general.
with the with the Christopher Columbus thing is they brought Chris Columbus went to Hispaniola. He took over the West Indies. He was actually so bad that his brother snitched on that he went to prison. They don't even speak on that. He went to prison, but he showed the king and queen the stuff that was in the land. And when they seen all them exotic birds and gold, they sent him back and they made a contract to say these people are savages and we have to convert them. And if they don't convert into Christianity or Catholic, well, at the time in South America is Catholic. That's why everybody's Catholics in South America. But if they don't convert to Catholicism, they'll be considered a savage and they have the right to take their land. And this is what I
Right.
keep telling people. Chris Columbus knew where he was going. That nigga was not lost. And you know why? Because Hernan Cortez was before him. So you telling me a man goes to Mexico, take over Mexico, gets rich off of taking over Mexico, but he don't see that big country that's connected to Mexico. He don't see the South America that's under Mexico. So you see what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? So they know exactly where they was going and
Right.
what they was doing.
Well, Christopher Columbus, that's what we say, Rasta. We call him Christopher Columbus. But didn't he have a Moorish person who was actually navigating the ship?
Yeah, they have Moors. They had they had the Moors because the Moors was
There
the
was a
great navigator.
specific name. Yeah, historically, I believe that they actually named the black person who was actually the navigator of the ship when
Yeah,
they
I think they
actually reached
I think he caught I don't know. I
The
know they had
Americas. Now,
I know
when
they had
people oftentimes misunderstand that even the Caribbean because it's still connected to the same tectonic plates as the Americas, the Caribbean is still considered a part of the Americas. And people think that America only solely means, you know what I'm saying, North America, where you have South America and then you have North America. Canada is still considered a part of the Americas because it's attached to the same tectonic land mass. Okay, so this is what most people don't understand. Even when it goes when people argue that the Middle East is not a part of Africa, when you realize that there is no separation tectonically, even under the water, there's only, you know what I'm saying, like there's a tectonic plate in the Red Sea. However, the rest of the landmass between Africa, North Africa, and Sinai Peninsula and Israel to this day are still connected. If we use that same logic with the Americas, all of these land masses are considered the Americas according to present day. You know what I'm saying? Our Native American ancestors, I have Native American on my side, they called it Turtle Island. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But this landmass is still, if it's still connected tectonically, it's a part of the same landmass, right?
Yeah.
So Christopher Columbus did hit, I think he reached like the Caribbean, Caribbean islands, but he never went to North America or South America. The Spaniards, like you said, Cortez, etc., they reached those areas. And then the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I believe he knew to Nonya. I'm gonna call you Nonya.
Yeah. Knowing you said we were slaves in the 70s, and like I agree with. Listen, we never was freed in slavery. In 1865, I could show you articles in 1930 where black people was actually going into the police departments and asking, "Did we ever get free?" Because we didn't have social media. It wasn't no TV. It wasn't no telephones. So it wasn't nobody just getting on news and calling people and say, "Hey, we're free." That didn't happen like that. And a lot of the slave owners did not tell the slaves. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people were still going. Then you had sharecropping. Then you had COINTELPRO. Then you had the civil rights movement. We were never free.
Right.
And when they did, they switched the physical slavery into prison, the prison form.
Right.
And they kept locking up black people for no reason. That's why all these black people are starting to
Right.
get out. They was doing 40, 30
And
years and didn't do nothing.
That's in the 14th Amendment. So when the Emancipation Proclamation happened, most people try to act like Abraham Lincoln was doing us a favor and he was so, you know what I'm saying? No, you have to understand that at that time in the 1700s, when the Emancipation Proclamation, when he made the Emancipation Proclamation, what was happening? What was happening was the Industrial Revolution. Now they needed to remove servants or slaves from the plantation into the factories.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about freeing us. It was about allocating the workforce from one position, which was on the fields, into the industrial complex. We were never freed necessarily.
Karima, can you show this picture? I just sent it to you in your messenger. Show this picture before you show the video. I want people to see this picture real quick. I think I sent it to the right messenger. Yeah, you see it. Now this picture right here, this is me. Like I said, I'm from Virginia. This is me going to Virginia. Now this is what I'm trying to tell people that, listen, they knew exactly where they was coming when they came here, because if you look at the name of the people, they wasn't called they wasn't called like the Europeans try to tell us, the Pilgrims. This says right here, well, you can't really read it, but it's a carvement on the stone right here. This is in Jamestown Historical Site. It says Virginia, London, a Company of London, 1607 to 1624. Meaning this was a company. Virginia, London, a company. This is a company that came over here. These people know exactly what they were doing. The same way they go anywhere. They go do it. Yes, my granddad and father was sharecroppers, and they left the car in 1972, got hunted down and dragged back to Mississippi till 1973 when they finished their bid. Yes, you're right, Nanya. Yes, you're a good historian, girl. I like you. You good. We might need to build one day. I like how you think. But yeah, they knew exactly what they were doing, and they came down here. They knew exactly what they was taking over, because they was in Europe. They were dying from the Black Plague. They were dying from diseases. They didn't have. We are so spoiled in America that we don't understand that salt comes from places. Season come from places. The stuff we put on meat comes from places. But we got to a point where we automatically just get it, and we don't understand how spoiled we are. These Europeans didn't have none of this. They didn't have exotic animals. They didn't have gold. They didn't have spices. They didn't. What they did is, instead of a big slave trade was already going on, Africans and natives, all these people were already trading with each other. South Americans, they was already trading. The European took over the trading system. That's all they did. They took over the trading system and
Right.
controlled it
Commerce.
themselves and started
Right.
trading with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is all based in maritime law. If anybody does any research on law, I would suggest all of us as a people need to do our research on law, different areas of law, so that we can understand and put it all together, because you have something called commerce law, and commerce law was the basis, was built upon maritime law. You know what I'm saying? You go back even earlier to the maxims of law. Those are those are the foundations of our present day legal systems, right? So even with the criminal justice system, understand that the criminal justice system has commerce law in it, right? International commerce is maritime law. These are the laws that were set around the time that the pirate ships were running around with slaves in it. X marks the spot ain't about no the treasure wasn't about gold. It was about what they were selling. And one of the main things that they were selling was servitude, people. And then there's spices, there's tapestries, there's gold, there's all of these other natural resources. But human beings were also looked at as a natural resource. Even to this day, you have to understand that when you get that birth certificate, that birth certificate is made with the same kind of paper that money is made out of. Okay?
Somebody said commerce is social sex. You heard me, Zion?
I can't call it. They have to be a little bit more deeper. Like you have to explain that a little bit more. Admiralty law, yes, sir. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't know what you mean by the sex part. You might have to explain that a little bit deeper, brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking nothing away from it, because I don't know the context of where you're coming from, but you know what I'm saying, you may have a good point. I just would have to, you know what I'm saying, hear a little bit more about what you're saying. But yeah, you know what I'm saying, that commerce law, that admiralty law, that maritime law. That's right. And that goes into the criminal justice. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just reading the comments. It said they not
Yeah.
about this.
So watch this. When you get a bond, watch this. So if you get locked up, or a friend of yours gets locked up, they have to place a bond upon your head. What is a bond? Watch this. Here's the very interesting thing. When they say the judge's bench is actually spelled BANC, bank. That BANC is the Latin word for a bank. Yep. Finances go through the legal system, and when you go to jail, they place a bond upon you, or they place you into the justice system where money is then circulated through the criminal justice system back into the court system, back into the state. So everything, the judge is actually a banker. You are being bought in. What is a bond? A bond is being bought and sold. A bond is like a trust, a financial exchange for a person with money. They have not gotten. And I know a lot of more science brothers will support me on this. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of my more science brothers can break this down a lot better than I can, even though I'm in the legal field, because I'm in family law. But that 3/5, that 9/10 of possession also is the basis for child support and child custody. It's ownership. And there is a financial exchange that goes on within the legal system. We're still being bought and sold, y'all.
Yeah. You can go to the next video that's over the top of the picture. And that was deep. I like how Zion broke that down, and this what I was saying, this educational, man. This is something right here you can sit in your child, man. Sit down with your children and let them remember this. Don't not forget, man. Do not forget what happened to you. Do not forget the tricks that happened to you, because this is the situation we in now. Because like he said, we lost part of our origin. We lost part of our roots, man. We can go back 6,000 years and talk about Kemet, Israel, all that. It's cool. But if you ain't talking about what happened to you here, from the slavery to sharecropping to COINTELPRO to the civil rights movement to them killing all our leaders, you know what I mean? That stuff really affected us to this day, to the crack era. Because I got a video or two on YouTube, y'all go watch. It's called The New Crack Era. It was showing how the cracker is a new slavery. So, I just showing how crack became and affected us just as much as slavery did, and actually reversed us back. But you can go to the next video. My book. And I like the video because these old school. This one I really putting my research with just straight books, no Google, none of that.
All right, you know what I'm saying? I just want to break down some of this history of the Fugitive Act. It's called the Fugitive Slave Act. All right, check this out. What is it? In 1793, the United States Congress passed the Fugitive Act that placed the authority of the federal government behind the recovery of slaves by masters. In a clear victory for the South, the law made it difficult for slaves to escape bondage by allowing masters to follow slaves to the North, capture suspected fugitives, bring them before a judge, and claim them as escaped slaves. If convicted, the judge could award the slaves to their masters without a trial or opportunity for enslaved persons to present witnesses. Ironically, because the law was so tilted in favor of the master, it provoked considerably support and sympathy for the runaway slaves in the North, and led some whites to assist runaway in the Underground Railroad. Now, this is crazy because I want y'all to see this. This is why they say we ran away. This is why a lot of them try to make up we ran away. The disease causing Negroes to run away was how one Southern doctor, Samuel Cartwright of University of Louisiana, explained the fact that hundreds of African Americans were fleeing Southern plantations in the 1840s. They must be sick. Apparently, it did not occur to Dr. Cartwright that it might be slavery that made black people flee to the North. And did you hear that? What they said is that they are trying to say it was some type of sickness and they were getting sick, and that's what made them go to the North. And never tried to claim that that it was because these people were treating these people as slaves and treating them wrong. All right. Let's go to the first arrest. How you arrested as a slave? See, this is called kidnapping. The first person arrested under the Fugitive Slave Act was James Hamlet, who was seized in New York and returned to the South by slave catchers. Although no firm number exists as the number of slaves captured under this law, it has certainly spread fear among the escaped slave population in the North. Despite the best efforts of their abolished friends, they could easily be taken back into slavery. Okay, so this is called, what they call it now, they call it bounty hunting. You see what I'm saying? They call it bounty hunting now. But back in the day, what happens when a slave escaped and he went to the North, they went to these people, they paid these people to go kidnap these people that's in the North that's kind of free, maybe under segregation, but still living amongst their people in a freer way, not free, but in a freer way than it was in the South. And they'll come kidnap them and bring them back to the South. You see what I'm saying? There's some more about the Fugitive Slave Act 1850. As part of the Compromise of 1850, Congress passed a more aggressive Fugitive Slave Act that made it
relatively easy for master of slaves to reclaim them. The Fugitive Slave Act stated that a slave owner had to simply produce an affidavit that he or she had ownership of the slave, bring the affidavit to the judge along with the slave, and the reputed slave would be remanded by the judge to the slaveholder's custody. Remanded by the judge to the slaveholder's custody. The law also demanded that all sheriffs and marshals assist those who came north looking for fugitives and provided the imprisonment as an enemy of the government of any person who assisted runaway, although the law was included in the Compromise of 1850 to satisfy the South that the North could cooperate in the return of the fugitive slaves. The law so angered the Northerners who resented the invasion of the North to serve the interests of the slave owners. The opposition to slavery became even more fierce and widespread. So I'm just letting y'all see how, you know, the system they had as a slave is still a system. All they did was change it. The bounty, the slave catcher is now the bounty hunter. See, y'all, which I don't understand. When you had to go to a plantation, when a slave wanted to go to another plantation, and he wanted to see a woman, he had to have a card. The card had to have the master name and what time he supposed to be back. If he didn't come back, what you got would call patrollers would catch him, look at that card. If they passed the time, would beat him and send him home. You know what them patrollers are really now? They are police in the hood. The slave catchers are the bounty hunters. When the system changed, they just changed the slavery. And that's what y'all got to understand. So I'm just showing y'all a little of that. No, y'all need to read, man. Y'all need to read this history, man. Y'all need to read what really happened to our people, because that's the only way you can find out what happened and why we in this condition of self-hate, mental slavery, and all this. You know what I'm saying? Ain't none of that other history is going to show you that, and that's just real. Peace out. And yeah, before we go to the next video, you know, I want to speak on that because, like I said before, that's what they did, and that's what Zion was talking about. Slavery wasn't just a fake roots movie where they just was enslaving us, whooping our tail. It was a lot going on. We had slaves taking the masters to court. They changed this law to where that's why they changed a lot of this law, because you know what, the Underground Railroad would never have survived if it wasn't for the European who hated slavery. Because the black free slave in the South, even though they was what you would call free off the plantation and had their own homes, they did not have rights. Meaning, if they hid slaves in their house, the Europeans still could go in there. They didn't have the rights like that. So what they did is they took the enslaved under the Underground Railroad and put them in the European houses because they had rights. They had rights to where they couldn't just go in there. And that's why you went from the South to the North. Only a fool would think that you just ran from the South to the North. You can't do that now. It takes you 6 hours to go in a damn car from Virginia to New York. You see what I'm saying? So it had to be a path. And this is why I talk about this so much, because I had a cousin. He was young. And I asked him, I said, man, you know what the Underground Railroad is? You know what he told me? He said slaves that followed the railroad tracks. I said, what? Like, you see what I'm saying? this is nuts.
Right.
I talked to another cousin. He don't know who Marcus Garvey is. He didn't know who Malcolm X is. He don't know who Nat Turner is. He don't know, but he know who Lil Durk is. He know who King Von is. And this is the problem that I'm trying to tell people, because we not understanding that they taking this stuff out of school. Our kids are not learning this stuff anymore because the CTR is called critical race theory. Look that up. They was trying to put that in school to show how America system was racially putting black people under. And you know what I'm saying? And the Europeans here in Virginia got that shit out of school. Because you know why? The Europeans, when they look at their history, they go see their grandmoms, they go see their mama, they go see their great uncles, and they don't want to see that. They don't want to face. That's why they
I wanted to point out that the brother saw, I don't know if it's a brother or sister with the SAW name, he made a very interesting point, but he used the term sex. When I looked in the Black's Law into the Black's Law dictionary, the term the definition of commerce starts with intercourse. So I see what he's saying. He had a point, and I wanted to make sure before, you know what I'm saying, I took the words incorrectly and then tried to dismiss what he was saying without actually looking it up. And this is one thing you'll find about me, is that I like to make sure that I know what I'm talking about before I say something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's very interesting point that he made about commerce, and it's all relative to what we're talking about now, legally speaking, and even from a historical aspect, and presently, even with what the sister said, Nanya was just dropping about drugs. You know, what I'm saying, I think it's even worse than crack now. You know what I'm saying? Yes, intercourse is better, sis. Yep, you're absolutely right. It's an exchange. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a better reference. However, you know what I'm saying, people can misconstrue the two. So what I was saying with the drug situation, you know what I'm saying, crack in the 90s and the whole nine, you know what I'm saying, destroyed our communities, but there was a financial gain with the COINTELPRO, as brother Eric was also, you know what I'm saying, bringing, you know what I'm saying, to the forefront. COINTELPRO and all of these things had a financial, there was a financial basis behind it, you know, and it was trading people and goods, substances, goods, we call them bads. You know what I'm saying? Today, I think the substances are even worse. You got the fentanyls, you got the you know what I'm saying, they got Spike, you know what I'm saying, they got all of these other substances, the Mollies and stuff like that, and it's being promoted into our communities to keep us in this intercourse, all right, and into a lower level of class status and servitude. So continue, bro. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to point that out to the people who are chopping it up in the chat. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you cool. Yeah. I got another one of this. Oh shit! I think I shared the wrong one. Hold on. I'm gonna share this one. This one from This is my YouTube one. Um. I'm about to share it to her right now. This one is called This one is called Diseases, Colonization, and Plantation Brought by the European Invasion. Okay. Now, the reason I'm showing this one is because I had got to arguing with a dude, and these people would say this on Zion. They would say, "Oh, the European got rich off of Africa," and I'm saying, "No, the European got rich off of the plantations. The European got rich off of taking animals, taking food, taking things, and bringing them to other places. Meaning, if I take an exotic bird that can talk, Zion, and I bring them to Europe, well, they don't even know how to get animals. How much that bird is going to be worth? So much money, right? You know what I'm saying? And think about if you saying that if you bring it to the king, you know what I mean? It's a bird that can talk and is exotic, it's different colors and everything. They don't see that stuff up there. So imagine how much money that's gonna make. Imagine how much money you made taking a pig and taking it to America. How much money you took when the first people that ever never had salt in their life. Think about how we love salt today. Just imagine your first time ever tasting salt. Just imagine if you were 30 years old and your first time ever tasting salt, what it would be like. That's damn near like crack. You see what I'm saying? So this is the next video I just showed her. It's about to come up.
Right. I'm gonna have to step out in a little bit. I have an appointment at 4 o'clock, but
Okay.
we try to jump back in as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, yeah, my videos don't be that long, so it might be it might be still up. I got one more after this, so I'm gonna try to share one more after this.
Okay.
Okay. Peace out. Shalom.
It's called Disease, Colonization, and Plantation given by the European to the Native and South Americans, and also how they took over all the trade areas. Let's see the idea of how they got the colonization through the through plantation. methods of colonization. By the time Columbus had set sail for Hispaniola, Europeans had already developed a paradigm for colonization, the establishment of outlying settlements that are controlled by the parent country. During the Crusades, Italians from Venice had taken over Arab sugar farms in what is now Lebanon. By the late 1400s, the Portuguese had established plantation colonies on islands off the coast of West Africa, and Spain had conquered the Canary Islands. From their experience, Europeans learned the value of plantation systems to produce popular crops such as sugar. They also realized the economic benefits of using forced labor. Finally, they used European weapons to dominate a people with less sophisticated weapons. These tactics would be used in a full against the people that Europeans call Indians. So the Portuguese learned this from taking over the Arab sugar farms. They realized the plantation supports the colonization. And they did it in Africa, then they did it in South America, then they did it to America. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Okay, let's go to one of the financiers of what we call the slave trade today, Isabella. As you see here, Isabella not only was part ruler of Spain, she also had a lot of power inside the Catholic Church, and it says right here, the Queen often fought openly with the Pope to make sure that her candidates were appointed to positions in the Catholic Church. So through Spain, the Catholic Church, all these had something to do with the colonizations of West Africa, other parts of Africa, going down to South America. And I just remember this is important because what people don't understand, every European was not working together. They was actually going against each other when it first started. And let's go to South America. All right, next, I'm gonna have to show you the connection between her, Christopher Columbus. Remember, from Arab country to Africa, to the west coast of Africa, now to South America. All right, just remember that. Okay, we have to understand what the Europeans, again, what they found out from the plantations in the Arab areas, was they found out from them to colonize, they had to create these plantations where it was free labor of the people they invaded. They invaded these people, they made them work for free, and they empowered the colonizations that they were bringing over there to where they brought people from from the nations that they came from in Europe, that they would thrive. All right. Soon after Columbus returned from the first voyage to the New World, it became a so old world investors in Spain crowned that the new territory be exploited as had been hoped. Indeed, circumnavigation of 1522 proved that the territories visited by Columbus weren't even part of Asia, but a continent that could offer little in way of spices and manufactured goods such as were exported from East Asia. However, the Europeans quickly realized that the New World possessed potential of a different sort, the production of sugar cane. Consequently, the plantation system and the sugar refining industry, rather than the harvesting of spices and silk production, were designed to shape the economy of the society of Brazil and the West. So the West Indies, Brazil, they started plantations there, plantations West Africa, Asia, and the Arab countries that we call today. So now they're 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 moving there, and they're going to America. They're taking over all the trading areas, and they're creating their own trading area. let's go to North America. And even though we've been taught in school that Christopher Columbus found America is not true, and but yet they still teach it to us. It was a company called Virginia Company of London. They settled in Jamestown, Virginia. Jamestown, Virginia was the first permanent English settlement in North America during the 17th century. The Chesapeake Bay area was immensely hospitable to the tobacco cultivation. And lastly, they created that system to where they were taking stuff from America to Europe to Africa to Asia, taking things from Africa, Asia to the Americas. You know, also bringing diseases, certain animals that was not naturally from that area. Now, because now they take something from America, they could take it to Europe, Africa, Asia, where they don't have it, and it become more valuable than it does from the country that they grew it in. Now they control their own spices, they control their own vegetables, they control their own animals to where they don't have to go through other people to trade. They created their own trading system for themselves and the whole world and to this day. Now we had to understand that history has not been told completely, and we must go deep down into this and find out why they have lied to us about America and so much other things. And lastly, they created that system to where they were taking stuff from America to Europe to Africa to Asia, taking things from Africa, Asia to the Americas. You know, also bringing diseases, certain animals that was not naturally from that area. Now, because now they take something from America, they could take it to Europe, Africa, Asia, where they don't have it, and it become more valuable than it does from the country that they grew it in. Now they control their own spices, they control their own vegetables, they control their own animals to where they don't have to go through other people to trade. They created their own trading system for themselves and the whole world and to this day. Now we had to understand that history has not been told completely, and we must go deep down into this and find out why they have lied to us about America and so much other things. And lastly, they created that system to where they were taking stuff from America to
Okay,
Europe
you
to
can
Africa
stop
to
there. I
Asia.
think we
Take
got a replay on that. But yeah, this is where I was showing. You see that map right there is called the Columbus Exchange. It's showing how they took things from one place to another. This is how they really, really, yeah, cousin Oz, you're right. And this is how they really, really got us. Like I said, just imagine how hooked on salt and sugar pork we are right now. Just imagine growing up for 30 years and not ever eating pork, not ever having salt, not ever having sugar, and somebody brings it to you. Do you know how much money Columbus and all these explorers made? That's why they did this, because they took over the land, they took the gold. It wasn't just the gold, it was the animals. And what made the colonizations thrive was the plantations. The plantations were made these things thrive because uh, they benefited off of the backs of people freely. Well, I believe we were here. My family told us that we're Indian. We look like yeah, I mean, I agree on that. I'm indigenous too. You know what I mean? I don't believe every black person in America comes from the same place. I believe some of us came from Europe, some of us here, some of us actually was in South America. They brought us to South America, to America. They took some from Africa. They mixed all us in under the name Native American. They took the black tribes out, and the black tribes started leaving out of the thing, and they whitened it, and they whitewashed a lot of these tribes. Most of these reservations are tribes that gave up and became Europeanized. That's what a lot of people don't want to talk about. But I sent her one more video that we gonna go. This one right here, because there's a lot of people that try to talk about how we became slaves, right? They want to talk about that they use the whole Bible. And this part right here, this is from the state library, right? So I couldn't read it, so I'm gonna read with it. I'm gonna read with this video that I shared to. I'm gonna read with this one, but this is actually showing the verses that they use from the New Testament to try to manipulate us and made us into slaves. That they use the verses to try to make us obey the slave master. Because I seen Garfield one time, and he said they used the whole Bible to enslave us, and I said no, they didn't. And he said prove it. So I went to the state library where you can't get none of these books out, and I showed him this verse, and I showed him the book. They'll show you the book that it comes from. You know what I'm saying? He kind of unfriended me because of that, but a lot of people don't want to hear total truth if it doesn't benefit their teachings and make them seem wrong. But that's not what historians do. So we can go to that. I'm gonna read what it because I couldn't read, and I couldn't actually read in this. Okay, Bible passages. Bible slaves. Hold on. Slaves were repeatedly admonished to remember the Bible injunctions from Peter 1, 1 Peter 2:18. Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear. Or from Colossians 3:22. Servants, obey in all things your masters, of course, certain words directed at masters were not presented to slaves. As the verse from Colossians 2:4-1, masters, give unto your servants that which is just and equal, knowing that ye also have a master in heaven. Once the idea of obedience to the master was accepted, some slave owners allowed slaves to have prayer meetings in their own cabins, even where religion was forbidden to them. However, many slaves held their own prayer meetings in secrecy in bush arbors and the woods. W.L. Bose, a former slave from North Carolina, remembered the families on his plantation were never allowed to go to Sunday school or church because the owners were afraid they would get education or religion in spite of this. They would sneak off of prayer meetings, even continuing the practice after patrollers caught and beat some of them. Although the slave masters used religion to teach, I don't know, I'm sorry about that word, and obedience, the human mind could not be controlled. Slaves who learned how to read passed on the knowledge that the Bible offered a kind of hope, not taught by their masters. Although the teachings of the religion was used primarily as a means of teaching obedience and loyalty to the slave owner, African Americans felt their own message in the Bible, a message of hope that they would be free someday. Okay, it ain't finished yet. All right, let's go to the go. Hold on, is that it? Oh yeah, that might be it. That might be it. Oh, after the oh damn, I don't went too far. All right, I'm sorry, but I was reading other videos kind of ahead of the time. But this is what I've been. This is what I've been reading. Is about to go to the end. But while doing that, you see how scared they was of our prayers. You see how scared they was of us to read because when we read these things, it gave us hope. I seen a slave narrative with a slave narrative say they were scared of us to pray because they feared that God would listen to them. And she actually said God did listen to us. You see what I'm saying? They would. That's how much they feared us. They didn't want us to read the Bible. When people trying to say let us read any book but the Bible, that is false. It is false because the Bible is so powerful that if you miss it, you can misuse it to enslave people, but you also could use it to free people. So stop letting these people tell you this false history that they used the Bible to enslave us because they did not. You see that book right there? Go get that book. That book is in a state where you can't even get this book. This book is in a state library. You can't even take that out the library. That's why I had to read it in there. This is the thing where they say the library is where they bury the lies. You see what I'm saying? Because they don't want us to learn these things. They taught us through roots. Roots is a fake. Root is the fakest thing. Thank you, Elder Yash. Roots is the fakest thing that they could teach us of how slavery was. That's why I say you got to read the history yourself. We really thought a man went back all the way to slavery, all the way past slavery to his African roots and knew all his ancestors, knew their names and their stories. When you can't even go back to your great grandma. When most of y'all can't even go back to your great grandma to tell me what happened. You tell me this man went 10, 20 generations back and told a whole movie. They tricked our plantation on the people, give them tax credit, hire at least two pair workers. Then some tax then went down to get out. They had to front the pair workers at the landowners. Yeah, that's what I say. It's a lot of things. It wasn't just slavery because you black. It's about money. It was about taxes. I could show you some slave owners that didn't even wish they didn't have the slaves, but their money was tied into it because this is what it was about. It was about money. The Africans benefited off it. The Europeans benefited off it. Some Native American tribes benefited off it. That's why I hate when these Asian people that just one Pacific thing and they try to destroy the other people. Don't talk about the five civilized tribes when you're not gonna talk about what the Africans did. When you're not gonna talk about what the Europeans did. When you're not gonna talk about what the Moors did because all this stuff was beneficial to the people. You had tribes that was beefing with other tribes, and they got guns. They got things that was able them to be superior to other tribes. There's a lot of other things that went on. Roots is fake. Look up Roots. Roots was fake. He got sued by a European because he made a book called Africa, and the man that made Roots took the characters from that book and made that whole movie off it. And that's what a lot of people base slavery off of to this day. The government came along and dubbed the whites. That's how my dad and them became sharecroppers. Yeah. And and a lot of slaves that got freed, they ran back to the slave master. And then they started doing sharecropping. They was getting paid pennies. I saw one lady, she over documentaries. This lady was making, I think, what, $1 a day, dollar a week, and she had 5 children. And then it got to the point where they gave you section. They started the Section 8 the welfare. Then they started the Section 8 to where the woman moves in, but the man couldn't because they took away the man out the household. And he took the power away from the men. And that power is still effective to this day. That shit is still affect us to this day because the man is still trying to fight to get his way back in the head house or the home because the woman is not her fault, but the government has given everything to one side because they know what they're doing. A woman can have a baby and go straight into an apartment, go straight into duty. It's a most men I know don't even have a place. They living with a woman. How can you be the man of household when you don't even own your own stuff? This is the things that they do. The Bible is ours. Yeah. And so they took these things and they use it against us. That's why I said they didn't want to teach the whole thing. They taught certain parts and they didn't want us to read it. That's why I understand what these fake scholars and Black Power, pan that why they coming and trying to act like that they used the Bible to enslave us when they did not do that. You see what I'm saying? They use certain verses to manipulate it, just like a preacher does. That's where the preacher comes from. The preacher was nothing but the house Negro. Though not all house Negro, but the one that one like you see in the Django, the one that loved the house master. He took them, he made them into preachers. So what happened? Because what happened is the slave stop listening to the European. And how can you teach me about Jesus or teach me about God when you whooping my ass every day? When you put me on when you're killing and raping our woman? How can we keep listening to you? You know how? Because now I could put a man with a black face but a European man in front of me to teach me this. They had to unteach us, yes. And you know how they you know how they unteach us? Let me say this. When we first got here, we knew, or when they first invaded and brought people here, we all knew who we were. We knew what happened, right? So what happened is when the man rebels, they take the man, they beat him down, they kill him in front of everybody. The people get scared. So you know what happens is they take the man from out the household. This is experiments they've been doing. They take the man out of the household. They fear. They make the woman. They put fear in the woman. So you know what the woman does now? The woman teaches the child to obey the master. She don't teach them the history of where they come from anymore. She teach them what the European wants to teach them. You see what I'm saying? And so what happens by the time you get to the second, third, fourth generation, you're not taught your history anymore. You're taught what they taught you is already gone. This is how they made you disappear. They did not stink the Indians. How do you stink the Indians, but then they got all these reservations? They didn't stink us. They took our names. They made us forget who we are. That's how you become a stink. You don't have to become a stink by being murdered. You could become a stink by getting your name and your tribe and your origin and your law, your land, everything taken away from you. Well, a man can be added, but usually wanted to be added a case because he didn't want the woman controlling his money. Yes, like now, Section 8, a man can move in. But guess what the trick is? Like where I'm from, they got the man to where most of us, but before we was even 18, we got a felony. So guess what? Section 8 don't accept felons. You see what I'm saying? Section 8 don't accept felons. So now a lot of these women, the man can go see the kid, but they can't stay with them. They taught you Jesus is God. Mary had a little lamb. Listen, most Christian, even my mom is a Christian, she does not believe Jesus is God. Okay. I just, like I said, I just don't agree on the type of a character, meaning the Son of God, and He died for our sins. I believe you're going to get punished for your sins, and ain't nobody gonna save you from the wrath of God. You see what I'm saying? But the people who saying Jesus is God, let me explain. I talked to a preacher one day. We had a debate: is Jesus God? And you know why he told me Jesus had to be God? He said because if not, Jesus committed blasphemy. This is what he said out of his mouth. So some of them believe that they have to teach this because if they didn't, it is blasphemy to say that you are a son of the Most High and that you are equal to God. See, so a lot of people understand that. My mom would tell you Jesus is black. My mom would tell you that he's our brother. You know, even though what she believe in because you know what, I grew up under Christianity and Christians, even though I don't agree with a lot of the things, they were some of the great people ever, man. My great uncles and aunts and mama, they're some of the greatest Christians because you ain't gonna change their mind. You're not gonna change their mind. They're gonna die believing that Jesus is the Savior. And there's nothing we can do about it. So I don't waste my time on that anymore. I waste my time on trying to teach our people the forgotten history that's going to be lost. In 10, 20 years, nobody's gonna be talking about the slavery and sharecropping and stuff no more. You hear somebody got on the comment and said this old. This old news. How could this be old news? This is history. My mom's side said that wasn't happening. My uncle said that they had their own guns and wasn't nobody messing with them on their land. Now, that's what I agree with that, sis. That's why I said slavery and the slave trade is exaggerated to the point where they make you think that every black person here was a slave, that every black person came over here off a boat when they didn't. You know, so I asked my great uncle, my great uncle was 97 years old. I asked him, did his daddy a slave? He said no. I said, was your granddaddy a slave? He said no. But I have some type of history where maybe we may have slaves, but that's what I said. I don't believe we're all of us are just Africans that came over here and mixed in with Indians. I believe some of us, I believe many of us was Indians that mixed with Africans. And so we got to understand that the history, man, the history is so messed up because they whitewashed it, they lied to it. This gave us miseducation. Just like I said before, in Virginia, we was taught that Benjamin Franklin invented the light bulb by putting a kite up and the electric hit it. I mean, and the lightning hit it. When that never happened. I'm a Christian and I know He is God. I mean, like I said, listen. Like I said, my thing is trying to get us together. My thing ain't trying to argue over something that's gonna keep separating us. You want to believe Jesus is God, that's your choice. If somebody want to believe that Jesus is not God, that's their choice. That has nothing to do with us getting out of this condition that we're in right now. Um, we in a condition where we oppressed, man. The new team says Jesus is God the Almighty. Listen, like I keep telling y'all can argue over that. But what is that benefiting? How is that gonna get us out the oppression that we is? How does that gonna wake us up to what they've done to us? How does it gonna stop our kids from shooting and killing each other? How this shit is gonna give our people out crack and dope and heroin and fentanyl pills? None of that stuff is going to stop what I'm talking about. We could talk about a spiritual form when it's time to talk about a spiritual form, but we got to start finding out how we gonna save our people, man. How we gonna? We can't save everybody, but we gotta. Do you see what's going on? Do you see all the murders that's going on? Do you see the killings? Damn near every day where I'm from, this person is murdered. I see murder everywhere, mass shootings, all this stuff is going on. Yes, and there's a spiritual thing that's going on with it too. Don't get me wrong. But we got to understand there's an attack on us too, and we got to understand the attack. We can't forget. We can't forget what they did. We can't forget the tactics that they used. But my dad's side was mixed Indian, and they had it bad. My mother's side helped them flee to the California. Yes, because they want to keep telling you that the Native American, the fat tribes enslaved us, and but they don't understand it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tribes, man. You going back five tribes and try to put it on everybody, and this is the mistake that we keep making. And a lot of slaves that escaped went to the Native American. And just like I don't argue and I don't hate my brother over what we believe. That's right. And we shouldn't. Why should we? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm a person, I believe in the Most High and the Yah and all that. I'm indigenous, but my mom is a Christian. All my damn family's Christian. My brother's a minister who believe in Jesus. We used to fuss and fight and argue all the time, but what does that do? That's did nothing but try to separate our family. Once I understood that you believe what you're gonna believe, and when you die, you're gonna have to face it. So I'm gonna have to face what I did. He had all caps language is in English. English is a spell words. That's all it is spell words. It's Masonic spell words. That's why when they changed the Bible into English, a lot of that stuff is Masonic. That's why Jesus died at 33, but it ain't in the Bible because that's Masonic. That's why they talk about the 12 disciples, like he only had 12 people to follow him, when he had many people following him because that's the zodiac signs, and they represented him as the sun. You see what I'm saying? So this is what we got to understand. And animation cartoons is what all caps are. Now, let me tell you about the cartoons. A lot of that stuff, like I'm one of the first people that bring out on around my circle on social media that Professor X was Martin Luther King and Magneto was Malcolm X. The whole X-Men mutant thing is based off of the civil rights movement. You see what I'm saying? All that stuff is these people don't get this stuff from nowhere. They get this stuff from Greek mythology. They get this stuff from Black history. They get this stuff from all type of things, and they make it into cartoons. You see what I'm saying? And we got to start understanding that by building a relationship on a revelation of the lie and the secret messages with the lie or lies. Yes, yes, we. That's what we got to do. We got to cry out to the Most High for Judah. Yeah, of course. I believe in the Most High. Period. You know what I'm saying? I believe that we had to start praying. But we got to get together. I seen on the thing on Sinetta, we were talking about, like I said before, they were talking about the Christians and the Israelites and the Muslims getting together. And I said, I don't have no problem with it. I know it's going to be hard to do because of what they believe, But we have to get the Israelites have to unite first. The Christians have to unite first. It's all different type of people who is beefing over within their own circles. How can you unite? How can a blood and Crips unite with Bloods when the Crips ain't even united themselves? And see, that's what you got to do. We got to get our stuff. I'm from Oakland, and they kill like it's cakewalk. Well, I think Karima will agree with you. She's from California, so I think she'll agree with you that yeah. But that's everywhere, sis. Go look, just read the news. Go to Chicago, Louisiana, St. Louis, Detroit, New York, everywhere. They are murder. The murder rate is going up because a lot of our generation have lost the history of what happened to them. They don't know. They don't know that they don't. The same people we talk about every day and we debate over. Our youth don't know about these people. They don't know about Marcus Garvey to Nobel Drew Ali to Elijah Muhammad. Even though we don't agree with a lot of these people, I still think we should know who these people are. Grand Rising, beautiful royals. Peace.
Yes, you ain't lying, sister. I'm from California. I'm close. I stay in Stockton, but I'm down the street from there. I'm from Sacramento. And I was born in San Francisco, so that's 15 minutes away.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, and it's murdering all over the place. And it's coming from we not know with our kids forgetting their history. We grow up all us grew up in the 90s and the 80s. When we grew up, we still had a conscious thing with us. We had rappers that wrote rap conscious. We had street rappers. So we still had a conscious thing about us. We still knew who certain people was. We had people like Dr. York, they were still teaching us. When you grow up to when these kids are growing up now, they are mentors out of these rappers, and these rappers are nothing but killers now. That's why all these people getting locked up. They're nothing but murderers and killers, and all they doing is getting on the track and making money and talking about killing and murder. A lot of these kids are going down and becoming snitches because you know why? Because half of these kids ain't gangsters, and none of them was really raised to be gangsters. And they looking at these TVs and stuff, and they think, "Oh, I go kill a nigga," and they go kill somebody. And they go face 20 years. They first time ever going to jail without even understanding what jail is, and they ain't gonna do that. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of snitching going on. It's gonna be a lot of things going on. It's gonna be a lot of things that we ain't used to going on because you know what? We had to blame the generation before. We blame the generation before us. They blame the generation before them, and we got to blame ourselves for not teaching the generation under us. That's not going to be far for men to do. I don't understand what you mean by that, but I mean,
She's saying that's not going to be for men to do.
what like as far as getting us to united and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. Just listen. I'm gonna say this again because we had this problem last time. I'm not trying to unite everybody, and I'm not trying to save the world. But that doesn't mean we should not try to get people together. Oh, I got my boy Elder Yasha up here. What's up, Elder?
What's up, Shalom family?
Hey, you can speak on.
I just popped in. I don't really know what's going on. I started to sit in the,
Well,
I started to sit in the chat for a while before I came up because I didn't want to get put on the spot to see where y'all was at.
yeah. I mean, it's basically I show the history. I try to show our true history of how the Africans actually they actually was enslaving each other. They actually did enslave each other. They actually benefited off it. They actually came over here with the European and actually took over land. They actually traded with the Native Americans before Columbus even came over here. The
Hmm.
European actually knew that they was coming here. They know exactly where they was coming to. All that lost thinking they went to India and all that shit. They know exactly where they was coming. And right now we're talking about why our youth is not being taught this in school. Our youth is actually being lost. We grew up, even in your generation, y'all said we had a street thing, but we always had a conscious thing with us too. We knew who a lot of these people were. We knew who Marcus Garvey. Even when I was in the streets, I know a lot of these people. You know what I mean? I might ain't follow them like I do now, or learned about them like I did now. But I know who I always knew who Elijah Muhammad was. I always knew who Dr. York was. And our kids don't know starting not to know this and it's becoming worse so
But
because of music.
when I was young and running with the secular world real hard, I mean, you had more conscious brothers than you have now, but it's the same idiocy. You have some people in there who didn't know nothing past Martin Luther King. You know,
Yeah,
You know, I mean, they heard of Malcolm X, they heard of Marcus Garvey, but they don't really know nothing about these guys. They didn't really know
You
the
are
problem.
welcome to come up here and bring up any topic or speak on it. But yeah, welcome.
Oh yeah. Anybody want to come on the show? We can talk. But yeah, I agree. Also, it always like you always tell me because you're a generation before me, so you always tell me because I sometimes I think it like you got me to open my eyes to understand that the things I'm going through is just a recycle of things that y'all went through and the
Yeah,
things before most people. You know what I'm
I want to
saying?
give I want to give you an example, man, two examples. Okay, like the Renaissance. I don't know if you ever heard of the Renaissance building. It's this big, beautiful, mirror-like tower that we got downtown.
Yeah. Well,
Now, my daughter.
the book I actually use is he actually is a specialist in the Renaissance. So yeah.
Yeah, so the Renaissance is a big building here. It's very popular. It's known all around the world. You know, and it's like the Empire State Building. It's one of them buildings that's known everywhere. Now, my daughter is 30, right?
Uh,
She she could never remember a time when the Renaissance was not there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's been there all her life. She couldn't have fathomed the Renaissance not being there. Myself, I was born in '72. The Renaissance was started and said they started building it around 74, 75. They didn't really get a chance to open it up until the early '80s, all the way up. But what I'm saying is, even in my lifetime, it was as long as I could. Even though I'm older than the Renaissance, I don't remember a time when the Renaissance was not there. But my mother does, and it took my mother to have to tell me, "You older than the Renaissance is." I thought the Renaissance was an old building. You understand what I'm saying?
wow.
You
I mean,
know, so it takes somebody who came before you. You know what I'm saying? To let you know what's really, really, really going on. We had a bridge. We had an underground tunnel. They used to take us to this bridge, to this park called Belle Isle Park. That bridge was there all my lifetime. But in my daughter's lifetime, that bridge that underground tunnel got covered up. It just got covered up, and there's no traces that it was ever there. And when I tell my daughter, could you believe that we used to go through a bridge to get to Belle Isle? She couldn't even fathom it. She couldn't even imagine it. I have to
and
go
hold
to
on.
I have to go to YouTube to show her videos,
And y'all,
so she can picture it.
y'all,
Huh?
give the people a little detail of what the Renaissance is, just in case people don't really know. Give them a little detail of what that is.
Well, it's this building that was built in it's a big it's Detroit's most popular skyscraper, and it was built in the '70s, right after Coleman Young became the president. I mean, the mayor, the first black mayor, and they called it a Renaissance, meaning a new birth. They was talking about it was the new birth of a new city that blacks was. It represented the new birth of blackness. You understand? Now that the city is almost dilapidated, GM has bought the building, and now it's the General Motors headquarters.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a very iconic building. It's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Very, especially back in the '70s. They had a whole floor that there was a rotating restaurant. You know what I'm saying? High tech stuff that the world had never even seen before. Yeah, but I only bring that up to say that, to give you an example of how the older generation will know things and have a more clear understanding than the new generation. And sometimes the new generation can't even fathom the things that the older generation is trying to tell them.
Yeah, and that's why I say it gets to a point where you know why, because we stopped listening to our elders. I grew up with my mama. Peace, Michael. I grew up with my mama when I was a little kid, like 9, 10, 11. My mama used to take me around 80, 90. All my great uncles, they used to take me around these people, and I used to sit and talk to these people. You see what I'm saying? And there's a lot of stuff that that happened that I would never knew if it weren't for them. It was a lot of places and buildings that existed that I didn't even know because it was torn down by the time I was born. So so I agree. You have to listen. Y'all have to talk to your elders. Stop
Yeah.
letting these. It's cool to listen to some of these scholars, but go to your elders. Stop letting these people tell you who you are. Go to your elders. Talk to your elders. Let your elders explain to you because it's getting to a point where they're telling you your elders is wrong with what they told you. If your elders
Yeah.
told you you had Native American in your blood, believe you got that. But you got to understand how DNA works. Then they can skip. Then they can leave things out. And this
Well, it's I think
DNA ain't all the way. You know what I
I don't
mean? We got to
I
go
don't
through our
think the
family.
problem I don't think the problem is in the DNA as much as it is the people that is running the thing. It's like the Bible. The problem is not the Bible as much as it is the people that's preaching it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But I think the most correct way is us to go to our family. Is go to talk to go. Well, I don't know because a lot of our families, y'all generation people are young now. But like I said, my great uncle was 97. My great aunt was 80 something. You know what I mean? They was married for 75 years, and I talked to a lot of people that my uncle was man. I think my aunt or grandma was born in 1913. They was there when Harriet Tubman right before she died. So I talked to a lot of these people, man. I talked to and they explained a lot of things to me before they died, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm so deep
Here's,
into history
here- here's
because
another
they told me what happened to them. Hmm.
here's another example of why it's important to listen to your elders, because how your perception could be totally different from theirs, and they have the right perception. If you ever saw the movie Roots, and you think about this guy Chicken George, okay, Chicken George was Kunta Kinte's grandson, right?
Yeah,
And the straight rebel, the Malcolm X, the Marcus Garvey of the plantation, you know, and he Chicken George, which was his grandson, had favor by the master. You know what I'm saying? And he was getting away with chicken fighting, which was considered like illegal. You know what I'm saying? He would do chicken fighting and doing all type of little hustles and do all types of things. And he would get away. And he had favor with the master. When the other slaves didn't have this favor. It took that boy's mama till he got grown to tell him, "Don't you know that white man your daddy? That's why he had favor to you like that. That's your daddy." He didn't even know that. He just thought he was just a regular slave that had favor with the white man, not knowing that that white man impregnated his mama.
yeah. And Michael, why every time we talk or have a video, you gas to talk about Jesus, though? like this is not the video about that, man. This is the video
Who
about
that, Michael
teaching.
Smith?
Yeah, like I understand that you have a fight, but bro, you have to learn how to build sometimes, man, instead of arguing, man, instead of trying to debate all the time. Learn how to
Well,
build, bro.
I tell you one thing I do when I'm on the show. I never look at the chats. I don't look at the chats until I'm after till the show is over with. But as
Yeah,
far as that
it's
goes
a,
with Michael,
the chat's been good because they've been asking questions. Just here coming in, just I don't know, it's just weird, but
as far as Michael goes, and as far as the Israelite goes, period, we spend way too much time outside of Hebrewism. I mean, to tell you the truth, preaching against Jesus is not Hebrewism. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that you have to do because your people is caught up in that madness. But what I think that what we should be doing, if you go on my channel, I'm spending more and more time teaching Hebrew lessons. You understand what I'm
exactly.
saying? And that is far more important than teaching against Jesus. There's some things about the Hebrew culture that we should know that we don't know. That's because our elders is running around here teaching hatred for Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Later for that crap, we need to teach our brothers and sisters the rudiments of Hebrewism that is not being taught.
Yeah, and
You
that's the same
understand
thing
what
I'm
I'm
doing with
saying?
history. Yeah, the same thing I'm doing with history. Instead of
You know,
us having everything ain't got to be a debate. Is about building and trying to teach because we got a generation under us, man, that we got responsibility for.
how about this? There's more to black Hebrewism than proving that the Israelites was black. Okay, after you done substantiated that the Israelites black, now what? You don't even know how to
Yeah,
carry out the fundamentals of the faith.
exactly. Exactly.
You done proved yourself was a Jew just so you could still think like a heathen.
Yep. And
You
show them
understand?
what show them what tell them what platform to go listen to your stuff on.
You can come over to Yasha Ben Israel, Yasha, Yasha Ben Ben Israel, Yisrael. When you push Yasha Ben, more than likely my name will pop up in the algorithms.
Yeah, and the brother have a great information. He's as far as my Israelite teachings. He's my elder to that. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
So
you know
he
what, Eric?
any of y'all Israelites on there, huh?
Eric, you told me something the other day, man, and it manifested. I was on Sarnetta's show last night, and Brother Caruso Haley told me, he said, Yasha, you know what? You was my greatest inspiration, brother. You was the one that's responsible for me being here and changing me and taking me. I was like, wow. Like you said, there's people that listen to your stuff. You don't know
Yeah,
it, and this is why I tell brothers, you got to understand that every time we get on these platforms, that everything that we do is 10 times bigger than us.
yes, yes. We are soldiers for God. You see what I'm saying? And that's what you are, and that's why I said I called you my elder because you taught me a lot of, like I said, how to look at the Bible in a realistic way and not in a fate, and not in a mythological way, and it's rubbing on the off on a lot of people. So all y'all Israelites on here. Hit the like, oh yeah, peace, JJ. All the Israelites on here, go check Yasha Ben Israel. We also are on the lines then, because the lines then we'll get to a point where it's about teaching, man. Even through the debates, it's all about teaching. It's all about trying to reach the youth, man. And that's why I respect JJ what he said earlier. He made this stuff so we could teach and we can and we ain't on no Baptist platform, because a lot of these Baptist platforms is about who's right and who's wrong. It ain't always
Now,
about that. It's about teaching.
now, now we are lions, den. You know what I'm saying? We bona fide. But tell them about what we're going to resurrect. We're going to resurrect a debating crew and a study crew, and we're going to resurrect the Order of the Benzodaki
Yeah,
group. And it's just a group, just a little clique of brothers. We got the debate platform. It's almost like how the Dagger Squad got their little crews. They got their platform, but then they got their crews. That's what we doing. We setting up a little crew with inside, inside of social media.
yeah,
You know what I'm
hey,
saying?
just like the Amara Squad guy, we trying to do something like that to where, but it's gonna be biblical. It's gonna be most of us Israelites. We teaching, we learning. It's still gonna be history. It's still gonna be science in it, but it's all based off of the biblical. You know what I'm saying? So, with any Israelites, Michael Smith, we'd love for you to come and join. You know,
Yes.
we'd love for you
Hey,
to
hey
come and
Mike, but
join.
we take we you one of us, bro. You one of the OTs. You know what I'm saying? This it's an exclusive OT organization. You know what I'm saying? That's why it'll be a separate thing. You know what I'm saying? A place where brothers can come and get a higher learning, where we could do higher research. You know what I'm saying? And further our mission. You know what I'm saying? Just a place for Old Testament cats. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it's
Because
not
we
a
don't
lot
have
of
a bunch
places.
of places
Not
like
a lot
that.
of places for the, yeah, it's not a lot of places for the OT. You know what I mean? It's just it ain't have nothing. It don't have nothing to do with us hating the NT or nothing. Because like I said, all our brothers and families are New Testament. So we don't have no problem with them. So we don't want nobody to think that we're beefing with them. We love JJ. We love all the Israelite brothers. But we
Trust
getting
me,
to a point where
trust
we
me.
don't have no
To the Lions Den, the Benzodaki will be straight enforcement, brother.
Yes. Yeah, believe we the warriors for the Lions then. So, y'all keep coming at JJ, y'all coming at Kareem or anybody like that. Zion, we got all at JT,
Benzodaki gonna
we got
get you.
all y'all back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got all y'all back. We coming. You know what I'm saying? We gonna have a force, we gonna have scholarship, and we coming for y'all if y'all mess with any of our brothers, man.
Yeah,
Because
we're gonna set up an elite Old Testament organization.
yeah,
You
so
know.
so yeah, anybody want to come on the show? Anybody got any questions before we go? Let me see if you got any more questions. Michael, I don't know, I would say you come on here, man, but I don't want you to. I mean, if you want to come here and speak, but but
Yeah, let him come on up. We just don't be fighting with my sister Karima, man. You know what I'm saying? Respect her as the queen of the Lions Den, and come on up here, man, and share your thoughts for a hot second before we get out of here. And don't cause no disruptions.
No, he good. He good. I mean, yeah, he good. He don't want to. He
yeah, cause that's my sister. I don't give a damn. You know what I mean? She had my back more than anybody that I know. Her and Yasha. You know what I'm saying? Even respect Zion too for coming on here to help building with me. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I know. Did you send me a link?
I'm pretty sure Kareem probably put it up somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just I just got it. It was a spur of the moment because we was in the back talking with Jakari and them about the flat Earth, and they was I think they posted. I don't know if they're doing it. I think it's coming on later today. Y'all watch
Yeah,
out for that too.
yeah,
Then
they
good.
had it
Yeah, he
scheduled.
consistent.
Michael
They had it scheduled for 1 o'clock.
for one.
Yeah, that's what the my feed say. 1 o'clock is supposed to. But I mean,
Michael,
I guess they're
Michael,
gonna come on later.
Michael on here.
What up, Mike?
Shalom and peace to everyone.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
shalom
man.
and peace to everyone.
Yeah, we
Shalom,
talking about
shalom.
putting together a little OT camp, man, an OT study group, man. Like I told you, man, I be looking at you, man. I think you got some strong skills, man. So we looking
Can,
at you, doc.
can it? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah,
Can anyone hear me? Everyone hear me? Shalom to
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, Shalom, can you hear us?
Am I? No, I can. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
we
can
can
hear
hear you.
you.
Mute your mics when they talk.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I said shalom to everyone. I think I heard one.
Yeah, peace, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, no problem. Okay, now, like I said, I come in peace. Um, I've never talked about anybody, slandered anybody, but I get a lot of that. I get a lot of hate. I get a lot of false accusations. The subject of Jesus did come up, so I commented on it. So if your eyes are open, every time around, the main subject that keeps getting brought up just on our platforms, but in the Black conscious community as a whole, is Jesus. I don't know if you noticed that.
I mean, when you look at it,
So when we,
of the three monotheistic faiths, Jesus dominate two of them. So I mean, it's hard to run from it.
yes, and
And
Shalom,
then you
so
look at
it's,
everyone.
when you,
Christianity. You
yeah,
look at
Shalom,
Christianity and
so when you,
Islam.
shalom.
You look at Christianity and Islam. They have bigger numbers than us. So I mean, you can't. I mean, they
absolutely.
dominating over us as far as numbers. I mean, you can't run from it.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. So you, like I said, the idea that Black people are Israelites, even though it's not a new idea, but for the consciousness of many people, it's a relatively new idea. Of most of the Israelites on YouTube were not Israelites 30 years ago.
yeah.
So right. So there's a lot of things that people just are not aware of. So in having this conversation, I think it's one that has ultimately being conspired upon to make sure that this is a conversation that we do not have. Um, this is a conversation that many people are unaware of that are new to YouTube, that this is a conversation that we've had many times in the past. This is a conversation that we've actually settled in the past, but it keeps being recycled because there's always new people coming in. And so
Right.
I made the Yeah, I
It's
made the
kind of like,
claim years ago. See, I've been on YouTube pretty much, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I do have a unique perspective, being that I was an Israelite long before YouTube, and I have not only have I been in a Black conscious YouTube community, but also the Black conscious community, and I've known by many people in the real world for doing actual community service for years and actually saving lives in the Black community, not only in the United States, but internationally. But my issue is not with any individual, and especially not my Hebrew brothers and sisters. As a matter of fact, my name YouTube channel before Michael Smith was The World of Blacks. And I proposed in like 2006, 2008, that we all unite in sharing with me the greatest praise known to mankind, and that is hallelujah. There's no praise greater than, equal to, or that can even come close to all praises, all glory, 100% to the Creator Yah only alone. And that was rejected by the Israelite community. And so you didn't want to
and
unite.
what most of that community Christian, like New Testament believe Israelites?
Well, yes, of course.
Oh, okay.
I'm just addressing the point that I know a lot of times I get, accused of not being about unity, when my main focus is Black people, and not belief systems. You don't see me pushing doctrines and things of this nature. I have many videos on YouTube, and none of my videos have been debunked. And when people got tired of being cut, they simply started to slander me. So, but I'm used to that.
Well, I've seen it. I've seen it, but it comes with the territory. We are not the dominant. You know what I'm saying? If you look up just the numbers in Judaism, and whether we like it or not, we are a facet of Judaism more than we is of Christianity and Islam. And when you look at the numbers of Jews, Christians, and Muslims, the Muslims and the Christians have us beat unanimously in numbers. So you're going to always come across the Jesus. Jesus is a dominant figure in Christianity. He's a dominant figure in Islam. I mean, he's such a dominant figure in Islam. If you talk against him, you could risk getting killed, man. Especially in certain parts
Absolutely.
of the world.
And the thing about it with me is, if anyone really knows me, knows me as far as YouTube and even in person, my main message is about hallelujah. And so the pushback from that is to promote JC, the son of Mary, is to bring in confusion, is to bring in separation, is to bring in disunity. The disunity is not coming from me, it is coming from those. That's why it says that we are not to go after other gods, meaning that you are the one that's moving away from center, not me. So the first commandment, we understand the first commandment is coming from who? From the Creator. It was not the son of Mary who declared before the universe, have no other gods before me. It was not the son of Mary who said that. It was the Creator Yah. So now it's not me, your brother, that's bringing about any disunity. I come in peace. I come in love. I came singing hallelujah. All praises.
I want you to do me a favor. I'm accept my friend request. I'm gonna send you a friend request, man. I want to talk to you, bro. I want to have a one-on-one with you, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I see some potential in you, Doc.
Tell him about the Benzadaki again.
Yeah, we're starting an organization called the Order of the Benzodaki. If you understand that the Benzodaki are the Levitical priests, known as Sadducees in your New Testament, and it's going to be an elite study group, and we're also going to be enforcers for the Lions Den. To make sure everything runs smooth for the Lions Den and its members. But for the most part, we're going to be an elite study group, and what I'm trying to unify some of the coldest Israelite Old Testament thinkers in the game. And if you one of those, we're going to be looking at you. We already looking at you, bro. I seen you pose a question
This is
about a month ago that shook the Lions Den, that had everybody in here feathers ruffled. You know what I'm saying? And that shows, and you was telling the truth and you was right. And yeah, you got rejection and all of that. You know what I'm saying? But brother, I just want to
that
talk to
doesn't
you.
bother. Yeah,
Yeah, I just want to talk to
that
you.
doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah, I just want to talk to you
that doesn't bother me at all.
and
I'm
build
used
a
to being
rapport.
called
I want to
the
talk to you and
troubler
build a
of
rapport with
Israel,
you
but
and try to see if I can,
I just wanted to say
is
this
you a
too.
candidate for the movement. You
Yeah,
know,
I know we're about to close the show, but I just want people to think about this. If you can hear me, now I know that if you can hear me, there's a claim there that Jesus is the Savior. Many of the Israelites said, "Well, he just came to save Israel only." Well, I have yet to hear any Israelite substantiate, prove, promote, push the idea that it was Jesus who is responsible for putting us on slave ships and punishing us, putting us in captivity. I've never heard any breakdown. And when you ask
so you
people,
never.
was it
That's
Jesus who
because you
did it?
never heard.
And,
That that's because you never heard me debate, and you never heard me debate Christians or New Testament Israelites. One of the tenets that I tell of them is that when we go to the scriptures, and when Jesus was talking about the book of Isaiah, he was talking about how the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, and he's anointed me to preach the gospel, and he chose what he said about I came to set the captives free, and all of this,
it's all
the
a lie.
captives were the captives were Israelites, and if he came to set the captives free, I've always said that in 70 AD, he said he came to set them free, but immediately after he made that speech, he went to Israelite. They killed him, and the Israelites went off into a deeper captivity, which is actually the father of the captivity that we're in today. So we went off as Israelites in over a 2020-year captivity. You know what I'm saying? So
But do you get my brother? Do you get my point though?
yeah,
Because
I
you
get
just
it.
focus on.
I get it,
Okay, no,
but you
no, no.
saying that
Because
don't
you
nobody teach it, and we do teach it.
no,
That's
no,
all I'm
no, no,
saying.
no.
It's
Listen to
being
what I'm.
taught.
No, but listen to what I said. I just said no one teaches us. That's not what you just said. You talk about them delivering us or not delivering us in 70 AD. See the difference?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't happen. So whatever it
Have you ever
was, the
heard?
prophecy,
Have you ever
the
heard them
prophecy didn't
emphatically
come.
say? Have you ever heard them emphatically say and teach it on a broad level that it was Jesus Christ Himself who was responsible for putting us in captivity and putting hell on us? Have you ever heard that stance?
No,
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 you have
I
not,
didn't hear
and
that.
neither
I'm
have
gonna
I.
tell you, and neither one. And
This is the
I'm saying
problem.
the reason
Real
why
quick,
we
this
have.
is the problem. This is the problem. The scriptures is clear. He that put us into captivity is the one that delivers us, right? That theme is constantly being repeated all through the scriptures. The same one that is going to deliver us is the same one that put us into captivity. The same one is going to free us and give us the key is the one that put the lock.
Well, it's
So
obvious
how can,
that's obvious the
yes,
case with the white Jesus.
but so how can JC be our savior and deliverer when you guys don't even teach that he's the one to put us into captivity? When
See,
the
the
scripture is
problem
clear
is the
that he that,
Israelites see that.
oh, let me just make the point. When the scripture is clear that the same entity that put us into captivity is the very same exact. So make the math make sense.
Yeah, the Israelites, the part about it, I mean, they do that, but they do something that don't make sense. You know, they think that because they can change his skin color from black to white, that it changes the person and it changes everything, and it's really the same thing whether it's white or black. You know, because
Yeah. Well,
or
actually,
whether
they
you
change it.
change the
They
game.
change it back. They change it back. Remember, the Son of Mary was displayed in the Roman Catholic Church as black for over 1,000 years, was it not?
Yeah, but my point is that whether he's white or black, the story is the same story.
No, you're absolutely correct, my brother. But what I'm saying is that when you say they changed it from white to black, they actually changed it back to black because originally it was black.
We all know that. You know, everybody knows that part.
Okay,
You know
we
what I'm
hold
saying?
on, listen, but hold on, brother. We hold on, brother. We know when you say we know it, but how many of us stop and think as we know it that the black image of Jesus for 1,000 years was an idol in the Catholic Church?
How
That
many of us
was
think that? My answer would be they would fall somewhere within the New Testament, Old Testament believers, which is not that much. You
no.
know,
What I'm
in
saying, did you hear
comparison.
what I just said, my brother? For
Yeah, and
1,000 years,
did you just hear my
for over.
response?
But listen to what I'm saying. For over 1,000 years, Jesus was displayed as black in the Roman Catholic Church, the same Roman Catholic Church that was pushing paganism. And that's another thing. You hear the people talking about Christmas is pagan, Easter is pagan, Sunday is pagan, this thing is pagan.
See,
Oh,
the part that's
Easter,
messed up is that our people think that because they can paint him black, they can that is what validates him as a Messiah, a Savior,
right,
this, that, and the
but
third.
I'm showing that when he was black, it was idol worship. And we talking just how we talk around that, and you make a good point. We talk around, a lot of us are just finding out that Christmas is pagan. But what we're not going on because of our teacher, instead of independently thinking this thing through, if the festival or ritual, Christmas, Easter, Sunday, all pagan rituals surround an idol. So
Yeah,
who is false idol in these paganistic rituals, such as Sunday, such as Easter, such as
but
Christmas,
you know,
such
I'm
as so many
saying
other
that.
things? So watch this. Watch this. Now they had the brother run from me. Brother Zion ran from me about the debate because I'm going to show y'all when he finally mans up and he does this debate, did Jesus or why did Jesus lie on the Creator Yah in Luke 24:46? I'm going to show y'all, I'm going to give you the documentation from the Roman Catholic Church of where that comes from, because it does not come from the very mouth of the Creator Yah. This is what we're doing in the constant, well, the Israelite community. We're running around here and people believe that Yah said, Yah did not say.
Yeah,
And that's the problem. This is the problem. Okay, watch this. Let me just say this, and then I'll let you flow. Let me just say this and I'll let you flow. Michael,
I want to know what we got to say about this too. Joseph, you have anything to say? I see that you jumped on the show.
Hey, Sister Maya.
Joseph Israel.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
We can't hear you, Joseph.
This fucking creation that God made. We
Everybody mute your
separated
mics at
ourselves.
one time.
My bad. But we
No, it's your
separated
turn.
ourselves. We separate ourselves from life. Life meaning animals, meaning nature, meaning trees, meaning insects. I'm talking about we are a part of this creation, but we separate ourselves with dead things. You know what I'm saying? We said like a house is dead without electricity, the same way your body is. It's dead, and we surround ourselves by dead things. That's the problem, separating ourselves from what the world was made to be. Man made their own kingdom and made their own laws. It's just we're not the ones making the laws anymore. Stop separating yourself from the creation, and then you understand the law. As long as you surround yourself with dead things, clothes, phone, all that stuff is dead without electricity, which comes from this air that gives us life. Now, dude, he can blame God. He can talk about the scripture.
You went black. Your something happened with your mic. We can't hear you, Joseph.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. I'm just saying, God didn't do nothing. God gave us life. He gave us food to eat. Nothing more a man rather have. You know what I mean? We want that wanted other things. That's why God that repented here made man because of their imagination, the things they think of. And he blaming Jesus, he blaming God. You can go through his past, and I bet you it's
Your sound acting up again, Joseph.
Does anybody know what the brother is talking about?
Well, I cannot really because his sound keep breaking up, and I can't really hear him.
Nah, I know what he's saying. He's basically saying that Michael is blaming what happened to his own Jesus and God. Now, and is I mean that's what the part I got.
Well, yeah, it doesn't make any sense what he's saying. I didn't blame anybody
Yeah, I
for
don't. It
nothing.
didn't make sense to me. I mean,
saying.
I can't make
That's
sense
what I'm
out of a
talking about.
broken
What I'm
sentence.
saying is man themselves have separated themselves and made their own laws in their own cities. What I'm saying is if you really want to understand everything, you got to make yourself a part of everything on this earth. We make ourselves a part of people and places. That's where we limit to. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole thing is
You keep breaking up, Joseph.
Can I say this one thing? I don't care. Uh, Contrary to popular belief, I don't care what a person believes. You know, you can believe if you want to believe in the Son of Mary. I'm not stressed about that. You know, you want to bring certain doctrines that you believe. Okay, I'm I'm open. I don't care what you believe. When Michael Smith shows up, it's because you claim that the creator Yah said this and the creator Yah said that. So I'll show up and say, do you mind showing us, the congregation of Israel, where Yah said these things? And that's when all hell breaks loose.
All right, y'all. I'm getting ready to get on out of here, man. I love y'all. I'm out of here. I just stopped through here to check on y'all, Michael. I'm gonna be hollering at you, Doc.
Hello?
All right, y'all. I love y'all. I'm out of here.
Yeah, yeah, because conversation went left, but but yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I'm about to leave out too. So whenever you want to end the Karima, you can. Y'all just watch out for the preliminary come up late on the lines. Then Takari and Michael, flat Earth versus the round globe Earth. And peace out, shalom, everybody.